2 years, I started reading a lot. And so I started reading it's an average of 5 to 7 hours a day, really. I aim for about 6. And it depends on the day. Sometimes I can't do that because, where should I look? This one? All right, yeah. So obviously I can't do that because every day because, I've got stuff that comes up and I got to make money and work and whatever. So, but I do it actually most days. So in the last couple of years, I've read over 300 books now. I just actually passed 300 books just a couple weeks back that I've read. These scissors are just not very strong, so the viewers know. But I'll probably go get my knife, actually. But anyway, so I decided recently I want a more generalized knowledge. And so I decided that I'm going to read the Encyclopedia Britannica. So this is actually this is like an index, I think. So this, I'm obviously not going to read that one because that's pointless. That's just for looking things up. But I'm going to read the whole thing. So I just bought a version of this. They don't publish it anymore, unfortunately. I would have bought a new one. This is, you can see this is about what it looks like. And it is extremely in-depth. Of course, it's a little out of date on certain things, like if you're going to read population numbers and GDP numbers and stuff like this. This is from 2003, but it basically is still is the most prestigious encyclopedia in English that's ever been published. So anyway, I bought this so I can read it from cover to cover. And I calculated it because of the length. So the length of it is about 40 million words. And so at that size, it will take me about a year to read with my entire reading time. So this is going to take me, basically all my reading time for a year. So somebody would ask, why are you doing that? Because they would have this is like the introduction. I am actually going to read this. This introduces the outline and it tells how the knowledge is organized and everything like this. So I will actually read through this, even though this is just like bullet points or whatever. It'll probably be a little bit faster than the other books. That'll be the next book I read, actually. But anyway, there's 4 boxes of these, right? And so some people would say, why would you read that? You'd never use most of this stuff. Which on a technical level, that's true. Like most of the stuff that you ever read, you would never use that specific thing in the specific way that's even described. Even if you're reading a business book and you're a business person, you're not going to use most of the stuff that you learn. However, on a different perspective, you actually use all of your knowledge all the time. So let me explain. The brain operates a little bit more. Let me just make sure this is empty. It's because it's hard to. I think that this one's empty, but I'll probably look through it later anyway. So that's one. So you see this big stack here, as if that weren't enough, but there's 4 of those. So you use all of your knowledge all the time in everything you do, because when you learn things, your brain changes the way that the whole brain structure reorganizes when you learn. And when you are doing anything, you're not necessarily using only one part of your brain. You're generating activity from all of your brain, but maybe in a limited way. So anything that you do to grow the mind and to grow the neurology improves not just the area you're studying, it improves everything. But also, there's a lot of brilliant people in history that did something like this. For example, I read 2 biographies of Elon Musk, right? So this is You see, it just goes on and on and on and on. There's some errors on the pages or whatever. Figure that out. This has like never been opened. No one's ever even looked at this. You can tell. Like they've not. There's no notes. No one's ever looked through it. It's like brand new, basically. People buy this mostly and they put it on the shelf. But basically, you use all your knowledge all the time. So what I would do is I do like intention-based reading. But Elon Musk did this. He read the whole Encyclopedia Britannica. Marilyn Vos Savant read the whole Encyclopedia Britannica. She's the smartest woman that's ever been measured. She's still alive, actually. Marilyn is, I think. She hadn't died the last time I checked, so I think she's still alive. She's in her 70s or 80s or something. Her IQ's like 220. But she read the whole thing. Of course, she did it when she was like 7. I'm 43. So I'll finish this, when I'm 44, because this is going to take me, 6 hours a day. I mean, you see how huge it is. I'm still stacking it up. I'm hoping it won't break my table. I might want to put some on a different part of my table here in a second. But you see, this is a very large amount of books. Okay, this one's empty. Okay, so we got, break up these stacks a little bit. So you can kind of see how this is. This is one encyclopedia, right? So what reading does is, like I'm convinced, for example, I'll give you an example, that a lot of people in today's society, they're very ADD, right? They can't pay attention. And ADD is like autism. They're like both, they're both like pandemics in their own right? But I actually don't think that these things exist in the way that, in the way that other people do. What I think is that people today are bombarded with media that shrinks their attention, and they never take the time to really pay attention to deep knowledge. Because you hear people say things, for example, like, wish we could use 100% of our brain, right? Or like, you ever heard that? Like, we only use 10% of our brain? People say things like this. But the reality is you wouldn't want to use 100% of your brain, because if you use 100% of your brain, you'd just like fall over in a seizure, right? And your mind would shut off because it'd be overloaded. This is actually what I'm reading right now. Check this out. This is like actually kind of encyclopedia-ish as well, but this is going to take me like 10 more days. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to start the Encyclopedia Britannica. It's like probably the equivalent of about 5 college textbooks. So each one of these is probably about the equivalent of 2 college textbooks, you could say. There's 33 of them, I think. So you could say this is the equivalent knowledge of going to like 60 college courses, is about what you'd say, right? A lot of knowledge. So in any case, what happens is that people that are more brilliant, they actually, when they're doing mental activity, they don't use more of their brain. They actually use less of their brain, but their brain is more optimized. It's more akin to like, if you think about martial arts, if you've ever taken martial arts, who's going to get more tired in a fight? A jiu-jitsu black belt or a bodybuilder that's never learned jiu-jitsu? And let's say they're wrestling and the bodybuilder's a lot stronger. Who's actually going to use more muscle? Well, the bodybuilder. Who's going to get more tired? The bodybuilder. Who's going to win the fight? The Brazilian jiu-jitsu expert. And the mind is like that. The more you focus your mind on a wide variety and depth of subjects, so that would be like a wide variety would be like quantitative knowledge, and depth of subjects would be like qualitative knowledge, the more optimized your brain becomes for learning, right? So the more time you spend focusing your mind, the less energy your mind requires to focus in deeper states. And so what will happen is, of course, when I'm doing this, I do intention-based reading, is I'm looking for ideas, strategies, knowledge that can help me transform the whole world, because that's ultimately my mission in life. And so this is going to take me about a year probably, and then there's other books I might get from Britannica as well. They don't publish books anymore, so this is a little bit old, but it's like 2003 version is what I got, because it's the only one I could find. They have a 2000 I think they have a 2010 version, but it's just really hard to get. I can't figure out how to open this. This is not the easiest one to open. But in any case, I was surprised this came already because I ordered this like a few days ago. So that's why I'm reading the Encyclopedia Britannica. So for about a year, for 6 hours a day, probably most of the time in the morning, but not always. It just depends on what I'm doing for work. So I wake up at 6. I'll probably be reading from about 6 a.m. to noon. And the only way that I could make sure to get through it is, I'll tell you how to read more efficiently, right? I'm going to teach you some secrets, and I know this video is rambling a little bit. Right, so, and then I'll get back to ADD, because I know you're thinking this is the most ADD thing I've ever heard. But I actually am jumping all over the place because I want to. So the way to pace yourself is, first you have to get used to paying attention for long periods of time. And that's actually the hardest bit. Like if you start reading for many hours a day, the hardest thing that you're going to, the hardest bit that you're going to go through is you're going to go through this period of time for about 3 weeks when you're torturing yourself. It's torture. It's absolute torture for about 3 weeks. And that's about how long it takes the brain to adapt to paying attention for 6 hours straight with reading. It's about 3 weeks. The first 3 weeks I started doing this, I was like screaming practically the entire time. It was so much torture. But then my brain just adapted and I got used to it. And then what happened is I kept doing it, and it took about 3 months. And after 3 months of doing it, I craved it. I craved it like a nicotine person, like a smoker craves smoke, right? I think I've got all of them now. I got to count them. I think there's 33. I got to make sure I got them all. So let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 30. There's 32. There might only be 32. I got to check. So anyway, I started to crave it. I'm going to go, actually, I'll show you where I'm going to put them. I got to clean off the desk over here, but let's go. So I'm going to put them over where your old desk was, Jose. So over here, because this is a good spot for now, at least. I'll put them here. I think they fit there. Don't you think? Yeah. It's like a good spot. Right. Oh, I did this wrong. I put them in order. So anyway, you start to crave it, and then you really start to enjoy it around the same time. So it's really like, after about a year of doing it, it was like, I can't even imagine not reading at least 3 hours a day. And now I feel kind of stupid for not doing this my whole life, because if you look at the most influential people that have ever lived, they all did stuff like this, right? Like Benjamin Franklin, when he died, his library had like 5,000 books he'd read. Napoleon, he'd read maybe 5,000 books. A lot, right? That's a lot of books. And if you've never read 100 books, you have no idea how many books 5,000 books are. You got to go read like 100 books in a year. And then after you read 100 books in a year, you're going to know how many books 1,000 books is. Because you're going to be like, oh my God, that'll take me 10 years. And then, hold on, I got to turn this down. My food's like going to burn. So basically, if you do that for, I'm going to have to organize these too. It's going to take me a bit to get them all in here. If you do that for like, so if you read like 1,000 books or whatever, right? Then you got 5 times that amount of time left to read 5,000. It's a lot of books, right? So to read, just to give you an idea, to read 300 books a year, which is that's the pace I'm on right now. I was at about 120 a year. And now I'm on a higher pace because I figured out how to read faster. I'll talk about how in this video. More efficiently without increasing the time, and my comprehension's about the same. So this is actually, so the Encyclopedia Britannica is about the equivalent of 300 good-sized books, but maybe like 500 normal books. That's how much content this is. 40 million words. It's a lot of content. And I'm gonna read every page and every line of text, except for if it's an index with, you know, I don't need to read that stuff, right? That's not gonna help me with anything. But I'll read the table of contents. I read everything. Quotes. Hold on a second. What are we on? We're at 6, so I gotta find number 7. Where's number 7? That's 9. Okay. 13. Do I not have 7? Oh, yeah, they're out of order. Yeah, so in any case, yeah, it takes a lot of discipline to get through even a fraction of the content. This is the index, right? So I'll put this at the beginning, along with the Propoedia. The Propoedia is the outline of knowledge. I don't remember where that is. This is another index, right? So this one, obviously I don't need to read the indexes because they're just, I'm not gonna read that, right? It's just like, if you wanna look something up and find out what book it's in, this tells you, right? So that's unnecessary to read. But in any case, okay, I got 7, now I'm looking for 8. So in any case, this is gonna take a lot of pacing, but this is essentially like getting a self-paced PhD in general knowledge, if that makes sense. And so I'm scouring them though, looking for opportunities, how to help people, how to build products, ideas, right? How to understand things. And then what happens is your whole neural networks build with understanding, and then the new understanding that you build makes everything else infinitely easier to understand, right? This is 10, I need 9. All right, 9, here we go. So you'll see how huge this is once I get it all laid out. So 11, we got 11 and 12. All right, 11 and 12, we got, let's see, this is 14, so now I need 13. All right, you're starting to see how huge this is because I'm putting it out. So anyway, I'm rambling a little bit. This is the Propoedia. This is the Guide to Knowledge. So I'll put this right after the index, right? Because I will read the Propoedia. And then I need number 15. I'm looking for 15. This is 13, right? That's right. So now I need 15. There we go, 15, 16. All right, we got that. 17, 18, 19. We got that. We got 20, 21. And I actually probably am going to read the yearbooks. Britannica published yearbooks from 1938 to 2018, and I'll probably read all of them. So this is like what happened in the world in every year, but I don't have those, and I'm not going to bother getting them until I can actually get around to reading them. And I'll probably read those a little bit more spaced out to just kind of catch up with history and what's going on. So this is probably already more than most of you have read in your entire life, just to be fair. Like maybe if you include all the text you've looked at on Facebook. But this is why people are so retarded today in many ways, right? And I'm not saying that to be rude. I'm saying that because people don't read anymore. They glance at headlines. They watch short videos. They want the details and the facts right now. But the fact is, you can't understand anything right now like that. It takes a long time to understand. And you can't really, the only way you can speed up understanding is by taking a lot more time to understand a lot more stuff, right? So if you have a really deep understanding of a lot of things, then it makes learning new things a lot more fast. But that deep understanding takes forever to gain. And you don't learn it like that by looking at a headline. So people look at a headline, what's happening with Donald Trump, what's going on with Joe Biden, what's going on in Russia, boom, 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 I just want to know the facts. And they really don't understand anything. And this is why you can't trust the opinions of most people that you run into, because they don't know nothing about almost anything, right? So this is my, and that's not insulting people, it's just that we need to change, right? We all need to change. I was like that in many ways before, I'm not like that now. So, this is my next year. About the equivalent of 500 normal books. I'll read the whole thing from cover to cover. I'm going to start in about 10 days when I'm done with that other book, because the other book's going to take me about 10 days. I'm going to estimate, just off the top of my head, that these will take me about 2 weeks to finish each. That's gonna be my estimation. So it'll be about 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. And that'll be 6 hours a day. So anyway, how do you read faster? Well, first, you got to discipline yourself to sit there. And it is not easy, right? Especially if you're ADD like I was, it is not easy to sit there for 6 hours straight reading. It is the hardest thing in the world. But it only takes 3 weeks. You set a timer, you force yourself, you're going to look at the timer constantly and say, oh God, I got like 5 hours left. But then what happens is 3 weeks later, you get used to it. Then 3 months later, you crave it. Then the next thing is to slowly speed up. People make a mistake, like they want to go do speed reading, like they want to read like 1,000 words a minute. But if anybody can understand things at 1,000 words a minute, it takes them a long time to understand that fast. People don't just understand 1,000 words a minute. You have to gradually speed up over a period of years. So what you do is like you set a timer or like a metronome. Like if I'll show you, right? So with this has 3 columns, right? So this has on every column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's say 7 words per line, right? So if I wanted to read like 400 words a minute, for example, I would set a metronome. I would calculate what 400 words a minute would be, and then I would set a metronome to beat fast enough to where I move that fast, and I would follow it. So I'd move 1 line per beat, right? Does that make sense? So you could go on ChatGPT, you could say, I've got a book, it's got 7 words a line. I want to read 300 words a minute, right? How many lines do I need to read in a minute? And it's going to say a number. And then you set the metronome to beat that many times per minute. And you go 1 line per beat. And then all you do to speed up is, once an hour, put it 1 more beat a minute. 1 more beat a minute. 1 more beat a minute. And if you do that over a period of like 2 months, right, you're 60 words more a minute. If you do that for 4 months, right, you're double, right, or you're 120 words more per minute. So you can keep speeding up gradually. And if you go slow, your understanding will speed up as you're reading, and you'll actually understand what you're reading still. If you try to go super fast, you're going to be going really fast, but you won't understand anything that you're reading. It takes a long time to learn how to read faster and also understand, because your brain actually has to understand more information to go faster, right? So don't worry about how fast you're going, but I would aim for at least 200 words a minute, because that's like normal, maybe slightly faster than average, or 150 to 250 words a minute, but at least. And then I would gradually push it up. If that's too easy for you, go to 300 words a minute. If that is like right on the edge, leave it there, gradually increase. Another beat every hour, another beat every hour, just go that fast. And you'll gradually speed up to where you're going, 600 words a minute over a period of 5 months, 6 months. But by the time you get there, you'll understand going that fast, and it'll be like a normal pace for you, right? So anyway, this is my new knowledge project. I am going to keep reading like this. So I'm going to go through the whole Encyclopedia Britannica, check it out. You can see how much is in these books if you pick one up and you look at it. I'm going to have to put something at the end of this. I don't really care if they fall down or whatever, but you see how much text is on the page? I mean, painful. It's painful to look at, isn't it, Jose? But by the time I'm done, I will know more about the world. I'm not actually doing this to be a trivia artist. I don't care. I'm doing it to know things for the sake of knowing them, because it makes it easier to have ideas because you have a wider knowledge base, right? So if I know that something exists, even if I only know a little bit about that thing, right? But I know that it exists. That means that I know to look it up if I want more information about it. For example, I know about a country, I know kind of what their market is like, I know what the people are like there, I know what kind of things they're interested in. It makes it that much faster and that much easier to be able to start a business. That's one of the reasons why Elon Musk can do the things he does. People say all sorts of stuff about him. He is the richest person in the world at the time of making this video. Maybe he won't be in a year. Zuckerberg is kind of accelerating, right? And Musk's wealth goes up 100 billion and down 100 billion all the time, right? Because there's so much drama. But when he was a kid, he read the whole Britannica when he was like 7. He read all the works of Nietzsche. He read all sorts of stuff. But he was voracious. And so his knowledge base is way more extensive than a normal person. Like, it's not even comparable. So when he goes and he starts a business, he understands the mechanics of the economics of the world a lot better than a normal person does, because he understands the world a lot better than a normal person does. And he's like that because he was such a voracious reader. So it really is helpful to be a voracious reader. I don't care if you read the whole encyclopedia. I don't know very many people who have ever done this. I do know one person. My friend Chris did it when he was a kid. I don't personally know Elon Musk, but I'm definitely going to do it. And so this will be less books than I normally read, but I count each one of these books is about like 15 normal books is about how much this is worth. So reading this is about the same as reading, if you go in the personal development aisle and you pick up 15 books. Actually, this is probably better because this actually has actual useful information. And a lot of the stuff that's in the personal development stuff, number one, it's the same stuff. Number two is, it's like 60% garbage, if that makes sense. It just like 60% of it is it's nonsense. It's not even true, right? The people are just saying something because they heard someone else say it, This is all very well-researched information. So anyway, that's why I'm reading the Encyclopedia Britannica. I hope you enjoyed this video. And of course, I'm not going to let this get in my way of my normal study on normal business projects and stuff like that. I will see you on the beaches of the world, and I hope you enjoyed the video.